Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo 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 besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Siva gedola, liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo besimcha. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo liyo besimcha. Siva gedola, liyo besimcha. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smile. Give a smile, give a smile, give a smile, give a smile. Give a smile, give a smile. Be the reason someone smiles. Simba, gedola, liyo, liyo, desimcha. Simba, gedola, liyo, liyo, desimcha. Simba, gedola, liyo, liyo, desimcha. Simba, gedola, liyo, desimcha. Simba, gedola, liyo, 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 desimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Simba gedola, liyo desimcha. Simba gedola, liyo, liyo, desimcha. Simba gedola, liyo, liyo, desimcha. Simba gedola, liyo, desimcha. Someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles.
Breakfast with Ellie.
מודה אני לפניך מלך חי וקיים שהחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך.
Hey, this truck's so cool. What do you do for a living?
I drive a mitzvah tank, amongst other things.
Wow, so what does that mean?
Well, we have this truck here, tank, it's all decked out. It's
Right.
a synagogue on wheels.
So what do you guys do?
We bring the Judaism to you. We're going to wrap tefillin with Jews in the street near Wall Street. We give out menorahs. We're giving out, Hanukkah's coming up. We're giving out Shabbos candles, all the good stuff.
That sounds fun. Can I come?
Sure, hop
Okay.
on.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
guys.
in.
Where we going?
Where are we going?
Last week, there was a Jew from Ecuador came on the tank, and he wanted to buy tefillin. Now it's 2 p.m. in Manhattan, Friday afternoon. So I said, come to Crown Heights on Sunday, we'll buy tefillin. And it was I called him Saturday night, Motzei Shabbos. He's like, oh, I can't come, this, that, whatever. I'm flying, I'm going with my family. So I'm like, listen, I'm coming to you. Where are you staying? In Queens. So I went, I bought the tefillin.
He bought the tefillin and drove to Queens. Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Ellie. It is Monday. Can you tell? It is Monday, the 16th day of December, the 15th day of Kislev. The Torah portion is Vayeshev. HaYom, Yom Sheini l'Shabbos, second day, counting up towards Shabbos. We're learning the second Aliyah and talking about many, many things, including Hanukkah, which is coming up. I know, right? Super cool, quick. All right. We're saying chapter 121 for Rabbi Pesach Krohn and for Rabbi Shalom Ber Hecht, who is also not up to par. So keep those two people in mind as you say Tehillim. Chapter 121.
Shir lamalos, esa enai el heharim, me'ayin, yavo Ezri, Ezri, me'im Adonai, osei, shomayim va'aretz, al yitain lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha, hinei lo yanum velo yishon, shomer Yisrael, Adonai shomerecha, Adonai tzilecha, al yad yeminecha, Yomam Hashemesh lo yakeka v'yareach baloila Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra yishmor es nafshecha Adonai yishmor tzeisecha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam.
All right, fantastic. Now let's get going with our morning davening. Men and boys, take your two front tzitzis. Everyone else, join us in the second bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah. Hareini mikabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Torah Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right.
I put it in the pushki that's a tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki
Time for tzedakah.
to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki that's a tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki that's a tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
All right, we have given tzedakah. Thank you so much. And now we're going to go say the Shema. Take your right hand and put it over your eyes.
Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam vaed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha HaYom על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Coffee and yogurt. I had to go through 2 yogurts this morning because the first one was not feeling well. It was a little green, if you know what I mean. All right. Ew. Okay. We're making a bracha shahakol this morning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shahakol nihiyah bidvaroi.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or 2 in the evening too. For me, it's the only way. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. And now we go to today in Jewish history. Oh, this is distracting. Mellow. All right. Today in Jewish history. Yes, indeed. Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi passed away on this day. Rabbeinu HaKodesh, our holy Rebbe, was elected the Nasi, the spiritual and civil head of the Jewish community at large after the death of his father, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, foreseeing that due to the tribulations of exile which the Jewish nation was about to endure, it was likely that many of the sacred laws would be forgotten. So, Rabbi Yehuda decided to organize the statements of the earlier sages in writing for the first time in the form of what later became the Mishnah. He passed away somewhere around 188 CE. Although he was extremely wealthy and on friendly terms with the Emperor Antonius, in his dying hour he lifted both his hands to heaven, swearing that he had not benefited from his wealth even with his little finger. Instead, he had labored for the study of Torah, in the study of Torah with all of his strength. On the day that he died, a heavenly voice went forth and announced, "Whoever has been present at the death of Rebbe is destined to enjoy life in the world to come." The Talmud relates that even after his passing, for a long time, Rabbi Yehuda would still visit his home on Friday night at dusk, wearing Shabbos clothes. He would recite the Kiddush and thereby discharge his family members from their obligation to hear Kiddush. Pretty cool stuff, right? All right. HaYom for today, the 15th day of Kislev.
היום הזה הוא זמן שמחתנו.
Today's HaYom is a fascinating lesson taught by the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, to his son, who would later become the Mittler Rebbe, the second Rebbe of Chabad. Says the HaYom, the Alter Rebbe told his son, the Mittler Rebbe, grandfather, now he's talking about this is the father, the Alter Rebbe, talking about his spiritual grandfather, the teacher of his teacher, which would be the Baal Shem Tov. So the Alter Rebbe is teaching his son what the Baal Shem Tov said. The Baal Shem Tov said that one must have Mesiras Nefesh total self-sacrifice for Ahavat Yisrael, for love of one's fellow Jew, even towards a Jew whom one has never seen. So you've got to be ready to put your life on the line, commit and dedicate everything, sacrifice everything for a Jew, not only that might not be your very good friend or your friend at all, for a Jew that you may have never met. Now, this Baal Shem Tov lived a few hundred years ago. Today, that was a very lofty goal back then, and it still is a very, very high bar, tremendous spiritual level to reach, even today. And yet, in recent times, the Rebbe kind of mainstreamed this extreme level of Ahavat Yisrael. The whole idea of a shaliach, or a young couple, a young family, picking themselves up and moving out to a very, very distant place where it's very difficult to live as a Jew. You're sacrificing all of the amenities of living in a Jewish community. And why are you doing this? You're doing this for Jews in a far-flung area that you have literally never met. So exactly this lofty level of Ahavat Yisrael that the Baal Shem Tov talked about a few hundred years ago, today is something that, to a degree, is commonplace. Now, of course, reaching this extreme level of Ahavat Yisrael is not, you don't have to be a full-time official shaliach of the Rebbe to do this. Because of what the Rebbe taught us, and because of the way that the world has changed today, it's possible for every person to do this, perhaps in a way that is much more within reach or easier to do than back in the days of the Baal Shem Tov. First of all, you can support a shliach out in a faraway place, or even directly on your own. Every time you get onto your computer, you have the ability to use technology to reach people that are literally on the other end of the world, whom you have never met and may never meet, and be of service to them, either materially, by helping them, giving them, doing something physical that can be of help to them, or by teaching and inspiring them, which are both equally important ways of doing Ahavat Yisrael.
All right. Great stuff. And now we move on to a word from our sponsors.
And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidol.com.
PestProRidol.com. Trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidol.com.
Tarzane Group. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565. And order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
helping lots of people any way we can. Tzedakah is the Jewish way to help your fellow man.
If you would like to help us in our mission to bring Torah all around the world, please scan this handy QR code right here. Or go to breakfastwithelli.live/new-computer or patreon.com/theactorsrabbi and contribute today to helping bring Torah all around the world. You can have an amazing part in that. All right? And it is tzedakah. It is the right thing to do. All right? Whatever you can afford. If it's $1 or if it's, $10, $18, chai, twice chai, 5 times chai, 100 times chai, whatever you can do is appreciated. We have just spent close to $10,000 on this program, and it would be really nice to have a little help in getting that back. We are not sponsored by anyone outside of our own community, and it's very helpful if you could help out. It would be really appreciated. All right. All right. Parshas Vayeshev. The picture that is presented to us at the opening of our Parsha is one of almost idyllic perfection. Yaakov's family is complete, his children all loyal to his ideals. He's amassed great wealth. He's returned to the patriarchal seat in the Holy Land, assumed the mantle of leadership, solidly established his reputation by physically and spiritually overcoming 3 adversaries, Lavan, Esav, and Shem. He is both esteemed and feared by the surrounding population. It would seem then that all that remains for him to do is to continue raising and guiding his family until it grows large and viable enough to constitute a people ready to receive the Torah. Even the name of the Parsha, Vayeshev, means that he dwelt, evokes an image of pastoral serenity. Now, after all the suffering that he went through, Hashem was thanked by Yaakov for this respite and asked him to grant him continued tranquility. Clearly, he reasoned, he could fulfill his divine mission better if unburdened by enemies and other worries. So Yaakov asked Hashem for tranquility for the same reason that we all long for Mashiach, in order to be free of all the impediments to fulfilling Hashem's will in the fullest way possible. And indeed, Hashem approved of Yaakov's desire and granted his petition, at least to a certain extent. He allowed him to enjoy relative peace and comfort for a full 9 years after arriving in Hebron. But, as we immediately discover, there was a pernicious sibling rivalry brewing beneath the tranquil surface, which, when it emerged, would threaten to destroy the family and dash any hopes that the brotherhood would ever become the bearers of the patriarch's vision. First, Yosef sold into slavery by his brothers. Then, Yehuda parted company with them to form an alliance outside the family. Yaakov himself remained inconsolable over the loss of Yosef. It would seem then that the rest of the Parsha, that is, all but the very first verse, reflects anything but the tranquility implied in its name. To understand this, we will come back tomorrow and hear more of the overview. In the second Aliyah, Yosef's brothers were away tending their father's sheep when Yaakov sent Yosef to meet his brothers and see how they were faring. When Yosef's brothers saw him approaching, they plotted to kill him. Reuven, however, implored them not to shed blood, advising them instead to cast him into one of the nearby pits. Reuven's plan was later to return and rescue Yosef from the pit. I see. All right, so let's now talk to Rabbi Avton and see Points. With Rabbi Epstein.
Kasha points Vayeshev for Monday. There's an odd little detail when Yosef arrives in Shechem expecting to find his brothers there, but they've left. And some guy, later identified as an angel, he comes along and tells him where they've gone, to Dosan. For this you need an angel? Why do we need to know this part? In life, sometimes the story gets stuck, and we need a little nudge to get it along, to move it to the next stage, to where it needs to be. No dramatic music, no lightning, no theatrics. You can be that agent of change for somebody else, and all it takes is to be concerned with them and offer them a little guidance.
Bruchim Habayim, welcome back to Shnaim Yomi, Parashat Vayeshev, second Aliyah. In this Aliyah, the brothers of Yosef, they go to Shechem to take care of the sheep, and one morning, Yaakov Avinu says, go see, how are your brothers doing? And Yosef goes and he loses his way, and he finds a man that we know was Gavriel HaMalach, and he says, have you seen my brothers? And he says, I heard they're going to Dotan, a city further away called Dotan. And Yosef goes after, and he sees from far his brothers in Dotan. And as soon as they see him, they say, oh, here is Yosef who wants to rebel against us. Someone that rebels against the kingdom is chayav death. They decide, let's kill him as he is rebelling, and we will kill him and throw him in the ditch. Reuven, who is the oldest one, he turns to them and he says, no. Let's not kill him. Let's throw him in the ditch. And the Torah says, why did Reuven suggest this? Because he actually wanted to save him. Says to us the Rashba from here, that the Torah itself is publicizing what was Reuven's real intent. And when someone has a good intention, when someone does something good, we have a mitzvah to publicize it. When we publicize someone doing something good, then people get influenced and do good.
Who is the biblical character who suffered most in their early life? The answer is probably Yosef. His mother died when he was just a little boy. Growing up, he was hated, he was bullied, he was abused, he was almost killed. And finally he was sold as a slave. And while he was in slavery, he was falsely accused and ended up in prison with a life sentence. So Yosef had every reason and every right to be withdrawn, to be depressed, sad, and consumed with self-pity. But the Torah shares with us an episode, a very unusual episode, that happened in prison, which sheds some light on what type of person Yosef was. Yosef was walking around the prison one morning, and he encountered two other prisoners who were looking down and unhappy. And so he went over to them and said, why are you downcast today? Why are you unhappy? While Yosef could have been completely consumed in his own grief, he reached out to another. He reached out to these people who he saw needed some help, who he saw needed a kind word. Ultimately, this act of caring and this act of reaching out, this act of love, led to Yosef's freedom and also a salvation for the entire region, as we see in the continuation of the story. But this is something that we learn from Yosef, that no matter the circumstances, you could always reach out to another person who is in need. Even if it's something small, just a small hello. How are you? How are you feeling? Just to see how they're doing. Never underestimate the power of even just a few small words or a small gesture. This could make a huge impact to someone's life. And ultimately, this could change the world. And in the end, this will help you as well.
Beautiful. All right. Let's see what we have time for today. Our Pasha song.
Yosef and his brothers took care of Yaakov's sheep. Yosef had 2 dreams while he was asleep. The brothers saw Yosef in the coat Yaakov made. They recalled his dreams and they were afraid that Hashem's bracha would go only to him. The brothers knew there must be 12 Shavatim. So they took Yosef and threw him in a pit. There were many snakes, but no water in it. They saw a wagon coming, and Yehuda said, "Do not kill him, let's sell him instead." So down to Mitzrayim Yosef did go. He was sold to Potiphar, a captain of Paro.
Ha ha ha. All right.
Are we paying attention to the amazing miracles which are happening today in Israel? Or did we get so used to it that we take it for granted? Now, what am I talking about? I'll tell you soon. But now, let us thank God for all these amazing miracles by reciting chapter 100 in the Tehillim. Mizmor le'olam chazda v'yad v'dor emunasoi. And tzedakah, charity together, and we'll continue to have miracles. Now, what I'm referring to about miracles is, would you imagine 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, that the entire army, powerful army, supported, built by Russia, Iran, and I'm talking about the army of Syria, has been basically eliminated in just a matter of a few days. I don't know if you're following the news, but that's what just happened the last few days. I think they said 80 to 90% of the Syrian weapons, all of them, the chemical, their planes, their air force, their navy, everything is gone. Without anyone holding them back. I mean, this is just beyond miraculous. I mean, the miracles that happened in Egypt, I would say, pale to what just happened now. This is all part of the process of Mashiach, of redemption. I think we should realize this. We're living in the most exhilarating times. Times since day of creation. It says in the Chumash, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'ha'aretz. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. V'ha'aretz haisa tohu v'hoyu. And the world was in a state of chaos. No structure. According to Kabbalah, that means there was the extremely high godly energy which was not yet structured to be received within the recipients. And then it says, and the Spirit of God is hovering above the water, because the world was filled with water. It's only the second day that God separated the waters from above and the waters from below. But on that day, chaos, water all over. But the Spirit of God, now who is the Spirit of God? What does this mean? And the Spirit of Elokim, the Spirit of God, says, the Medrash says in Zohar, says, Orachaim HaKodesh, discussed extensively in many places, Zu Rucho Shel Mashiach. This is the Spirit of Mashiach. From the first moment on, God has put the presence, the neshama, the soul, the reality of Mashiach in the world, because that's the ultimate purpose. The purpose of creation was so that we should come to the time where godliness will be revealed all over. The entire universe will be filled with godliness, which is what Mashiach is all about. Mashiach is not about delicious cookies. Mashiach is not about having a better vacation. Mashiach is not about nice weather. Mashiach is all about the reality, the presence of God permeating the entire universe. Now, when we think for a moment about what's been happening lately in Eretz Yisrael, what is a miracle? A miracle is a revelation of God acting sometimes through natural phenomena and sometimes through above natural phenomena. Yes, Iron Dome and all these phenomena, all these amazing scientific achievements, weapons to destroy and weapons to protect. But we know very well, man-made is not perfect. Yet over here there seems to be like near perfection in the protection from Eretz Yisrael, way beyond the imagination of any military strategist. And now, the entire powerful Syrian army, propped up by the Russians, as I said, propped up by the Iranians, in no time, without a bullet against them, has totally disappeared. Now this, you say, yeah, look, it's an opportunity. But this is godly. This is God manifesting himself in the world of nature. That's Moshiach. So friends, just like the fellow in Israel said on one of the most popular TV stations, said, Chevre, Mashiach magia, ta'asu tshuva. Friends, Mashiach is coming. Let's do tshuva. What means tshuva? Returning home. Do a mitzvah. Putting out tefillin, lighting Shabbat candles, etc., etc. That's what we're living. So let's hold on. Do the mitzvah, as Nike says, just do it, and we will see the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach taking us out of Golus.
Amen. May it be immediately. May we not stay here one more second than we need to. All right, Tehillim.
Al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Tisoyre Chavatzeles HaShoroin.
All right, we are saying Tehillim today, and we are saying chapters 23 and 123 together. Let us do it right now. Or close to now.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, בינוס תשע, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי לך בגץ על מובס, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי,
כוסי רוויה,
אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
Shiramalus velachon asosi aseinai ha yeshiva shamayim hinechiyene yavodim ayad adinayim kiyene shivcha yad kvirto keineinenu aladinai eloyeinu ad sheyichanenu chaneinu adayinai chaneinu
Tanya.
All right. We're doing Tanya for today, as we do every day. And today's Tanya for the 15th day of the month of Kislev.
On your thoughts for the 15th of Kislev. We've all heard the jokes about people who fall asleep in the rabbi's speech. Well, you know, it might be even worse than snoozing. Telling the rabbi, that was interesting. Interesting? I poured my deepest sense of self into those words. I expressed my very soul. And that's all you see it as? Academic fodder? That's it? Torah is genius. It's the greatest system for family, community, and government. It is interesting, yet it is so much more that calling it merely interesting is way too shallow. It's Hashem sharing himself with us. Treasure that, not just its academic curiosity.
Let's talk Tanya for the 15th of Kislev of Elli year. In yesterday's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe cited the Talmud, which says that David was punished because he referred to Torah as miras, as songs. And why did he call Torah songs? Because he was thinking about the greatness of Torah, that Torah is the source of all of the worlds. And we ended off with the question, why is that so terrible? That is the praise of Torah, the praise of God, that his Torah is the source of all of the worlds. Alter Rebbe says, yes, the Torah is the source of all of the worlds. But that is what we call the Achorayim, or the Chitzonius, the back part of Torah, the external dimension of Torah. The internal dimension of Torah, the higher level of Torah, is absolutely one with God. As we know, God is one with his wisdom. So just as God is utterly above and beyond creation, and all of creation is nothing to God, when we're talking about the internal dimension of Torah, the higher level of Torah, all of creation is nothing. So we can't praise the Torah and say, wow, you're the source of all of the worlds. That's somewhat like praising a multi-billionaire and saying, wow, he has a nickel. And actually the analogy isn't exact, because a nickel is a limited amount and $1 billion is a limited amount. Over here, the Torah is infinitely above and beyond and removed and greater than this world. Now, maybe for me and for you, this wouldn't be the biggest sin to talk about Torah in that way, but David HaMelech, because he was such a holy person, such a great person, it was expected of him that he should have a greater and deeper appreciation for Torah, and realizing that the ultimate greatness of Torah is not that it is all the worlds are sourced in the Torah, but that it is one with God, which is well beyond creation. And how was David HaMelech punished? He was punished with forgetting, as we spoke yesterday. What is the significance of that? In our lives also, we have internal dimensions of our being and external dimensions of our being. The internal dimensions of our being are those things, our aspirations, our goals, our desires, our relationships, those things that are very, very integral and very important to us. And then there are those things that are external to us, the things that are less important to us, the things that sometimes we even forget about. Something which is internal, we don't forget about. In other words, go to someone who has children and say, do you have children? He's never going to say, I forgot. Because that's part of the internal essence of that person. So forgetfulness comes when something is external. David HaMelech, because his mistake was that he spoke about the external element of Torah, his punishment was that he forgot. Forgetting comes from the external element of the human being. What did he forget about? He forgot a halacha which relates to the ark, which housed the tablets. Something interesting about the tablets. The tablets did not have an external element or a backside. One of the miracles about the tablets was that the writing was written from every side, all 6 sides, and it was engraved through and through. Whichever way you looked at the tablets, you were able to see the writing. And that's because the tablets represented this internal element or dimension of God's Torah, as opposed to a Torah scroll, which we read, which has the internal or the pnimius, which is the front. The chitzoni is the external element, which is the back. The ark and the arin was all about pnimius, all about this highest level of Torah. So David HaMelech forgot something related to this internal element of Torah because he said Zmiras Hayli Chukecha, because he praised the external element of Torah. And the takeaway for us, or one of the takeaways for us, obviously, is a deeper appreciation for Torah. That Torah is great. Not only is Torah great in as much that all the worlds are sourced in Torah, there's even greater greatness to Torah, which is that when we're learning Torah, we're learning something which is absolutely one with Hashem himself, something which is infinitely higher than creation, to the point that praising it and saying it's the source of creation actually is an insult. With this, we've concluded this chapter in Kuntres Achron. Tomorrow we start the next chapter, chapter 7, which is on the topic of charity.
Tzedakah, something we can all get behind. All right, Hanukkah is up next. All right, I just double-checked to make sure this link still works over here, the bit.ly link for the 8 nights, 8 lights for 8 nights booklet. That is still around, and since we are 10 days away from Hanukkah, I suggest we get that and start learning from that, which we are going to do today. Excuse me. Hanukkah, we have a beautiful series, a bit of a background. At the times of the Second Temple, the Greek rulers in Judea issued harsh decrees restricting the practice of Torah and mitzvahs. They defiled the Beis Hamikdash and oppressed the Jews until Hashem had mercy and saved his people from their hands. With Hashem's help, the Hashmonayim, who were a family of Kohanim, overcame the Greeks, and the rulership of Eretz Yisrael returned to the Jews for over 200 years. When the Hashmonayim entered the Beis Hamikdash, they found only one pure flask of oil with the seal of the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, still intact. That small amount of oil that was only enough to last for 1 day burned for 8 until more oil could be prepared. And we've said that the oil that was used to light the menorah in the Holy Temple was made of Shemen Zayis Zach, pure olive oil. And the definition of that is the first drop of every olive was used. And that's why it took a week to make more olive oil. So therefore, our sages decreed that an 8-day holiday starting on the 25th of Kislev to rejoice and proclaim and praise Hashem's greatness should be established. We say the Hallel, the words of praise, every day. We recite the Al Hanisim for the miracles blessing, and we light lights in our doorways each night to publicize the miracle. The Yom Tov is called Chanukah because the Jews rested, Chanu, which is the Hebrew word for rest, from battle, Ka, 25, Chaf Hey, on the 25th day of Kislev. Another reason is to remember the dedication, the Chanukat Habayit, the dedication of the temple that took place once the Beis Hamikdash was cleaned up from the idols that the Greeks brought in. How about that? Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And I'll mark these as being done so that we can continue this tomorrow. Today we start a brand new series with Rabbi Jacobson. And the series with Rabbi Jacobson is about spreading the light. And so we will do day 1 of this series.
There is a fascinating debate in the Talmud, Tractate Shabbos, page 22. Am I allowed to use a Hanukkah candle to ignite other flames? Of course, most of us use a shamash, which is an outside candle to ignite the flames. But let's say I don't have a shamash. Can I take a burning Hanukkah candle and use it to ignite the other flames? Two of the greatest Talmudic sages of the 3rd century, Rav and Shmuel, debate the question. Rav says you're not allowed to do it. Shmuel says it's permissible. Rav explains the logic behind his verdict. Akhushe mitzvah. If I use a pre-existing Hanukkah candle to light other candles, part of the oil can spill, part of the wax can be lost, and I am diminishing the light of the mitzvah Hanukkah candle. Shmuel says it's fine, but he does not explain why he disagrees with Rav. What is even more fascinating is there is a Talmudic principle that in most cases of Jewish law, we follow the position of Rav. There are 3 exceptions. One of them is Hanukkah candles. Jewish law follows the position of Shmuel. You are permitted to use a Hanukkah candle to light other candles. I heard a marvelous insight from the late Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, who just passed away a few weeks ago. He said, if you want to understand the debate between Rav and Shmuel, look at the Jewish world today. There are 2 Jews. They're both on fire. They are both passionate about their faith and deeply committed to their Judaism. One of them says, I cannot go out of my space to ignite other flames that are unlit. You know why? Akhushe mitzvah. That might diminish my own light. That may take away from my own spirituality and my own Judaism and my own holiness. That is one position. And Rav was a great spiritual giant. But Shmuel disagreed. Shmuel says, when I take my light to set another Jewish soul on fire, I don't have less light, I have more light. From 1 I create 2, and from 2 we create 4 and 8 until we flood the entire world with love and light and hope. When we go out and we ignite sparks and we inspire hearts and we motivate souls, our light is not diminished. We create so much more light in the world. When I lift up another soul, I too am uplifted in the process. So before you go to sleep at night, we must ask ourselves this question: did I manage to ignite the fire of at least one soul today? To love a person is to learn the song that is in their heart and to sing it to them when they have forgotten. My prayer and hope is that every single day I can remind at least one soul the song it might have forgotten. Happy Hanukkah.
Rambam.
No, it's not impossible that Rebbe did say, just study Rambam each and every day. I'll never miss my daily Rambam. My Rebbe so desires, I'm not busy or too tired. When I learn Rambam's connected, I remain, I am a link in the Rebbe's golden chain.
Class number 265.
Baruch Hashem, today is day number 265 of our daily study of Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. In the 3 chapters a day study track of Mishnah Torah, we're continuing in Hilchos Mechira, the laws of sales, chapters 7, 8, and 9. We've started a new book, Sefer Kinyan, the book of acquisitions, which started a couple days ago. We have one mitzvah today, negative commandment 250. Is the prohibition against cheating or defrauding someone in a business transaction. It is forbidden for the seller or the buyer to cheat someone in business. I mentioned a couple of days ago, when I think our first day of the new book, the Sefer Kinyan, the mitzvah of following Torah's laws about how to transfer ownership of property. And I mentioned the verse that it comes from, which is Vayikra Chof He Yodalad, that's Leviticus 25:14, where it says, V'chi simkru mimkar lamisecha, when you sell something to your fellow, or you purchase something from your fellow. And I mentioned the rest of the verse, which wasn't pertinent to that mitzvah, but it is pertinent to this mitzvah because it actually is this mitzvah, and that is the rest of the verses. So when you buy or you sell, al toinu ish es achiv, one person shall not aggrieve. That's how I'll translate al toinu. Do not aggrieve your fellow. And what that means, what does it mean, do not aggrieve your fellow when you're buying and selling? It means don't cheat him. Don't overcharge him. Don't rip him off. So that's the prohibition. Negative commandment 250. That's our mitzvah for today. And like I mentioned to you a couple days ago, there are many, many chapters in Mishnah Torah that deal with these laws, but there are not that many mitzvahs from the 613 mitzvahs that correspond to these laws. So there are going to be repeats, and I think tomorrow's a repeat. So we'll hear more about this mitzvah then again when we learn tomorrow, God willing.
Today we study negative mitzvah 250, which is the prohibition against onah, which literally means cheating. The Torah says that when conducting transactions of buying and selling merchandise, we are not to cheat each other, specifically meaning by overcharging or underpaying. The way Torah sees this, when a person is overcharged or underpays by less than 1/6 of the market value of the object, he is not considered to have transgressed this prohibition, because people generally tend to not mind if a change in less than 1/6 of the price is made. But if a person overcharges or underpays by 1/6 of the market price, he must return that extra money, or in the case of underpaying, he must pay the extra 6 that he's missing. If a person is overcharged or underpays by more than 1/6, then the entire transaction is considered invalid.
Wow. Torah deals with absolutely everything.
והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, משיח צדקנו, הרבי מלובביץ' מלך המשיח, הרבי מלובביץ'.
About the saying, if I knew Hashem, I would be Hashem, the Rebbe Rashab commented that through the study of Chassidus, I both know and experience Hashem. Hashem's essence, his atzmus, cannot be grasped intellectually. As long as we are separate beings from Hashem, it's impossible to know him. Therefore, we can only grasp and experience godliness when it permeates our lives and transforms everything around us into something godly. Only by learning Chassidus in this manner can we grasp the divine essence, because the revelation of Hashem's essence is synonymous with the Geula, the redemption. May it come speedily in our days with Mashiach Tzidkenu leading us to the Beis Hamikdash. Bimheira b'yameinu mamash. Amen.
Turn on the news. Wait, actually, probably don't turn on the news. The world is, well, challenging. It's confusing and it's messy. And I don't just mean in ways that show up in the headlines. Illness, poverty, war, hangnails, mosquitoes. There's a lot of things, big and small, that we would change about our world if we could just snap our fingers. But most of those problems are not new. There's a cosmic imperfection that God built into the universe. And that's because God wanted each of us to be a part of the grand solution. That solution has been a cornerstone of the Jewish faith from the very beginning. Ever since biblical times, God has been telling us about what this world could be and what it someday will be. It's called the Geula, the redemption, the end of all war, suffering, and strife. And the person who's going to shepherd the world into that era is known as Mashiach. Everything we know about the Geula and Mashiach comes from biblical prophecies and traditional texts. It's a lot to study through, but here are some of the most important things you need to know. For starters, Mashiach will be a great Jewish leader and Torah scholar, passionate about Torah and mitzvahs, similar to King David, who, by the way, is his great-great-great-grandfather. He'll inspire all Jewish people to follow the Torah. He'll rebuild the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, bring all Jews back to the Holy Land, restore all 613 mitzvahs, even the ones we haven't been able to do for thousands of years, and teach the whole world about God. There will be no war, hunger, or competition. All nations will live side by side and worship one God in perfect harmony. As a grand finale, God will remove all evil from the earth and revive the dead, even putting an end to death itself. Overall, it'll be a global period of abundance where we'll all have plenty of time to focus on what's really important, knowing God and His wisdom. Now, as wild and miraculous as this all may sound, many of these big changes can happen naturally. Let me explain. Think of the future world of Geula as mostly similar to the world today, with one subtle but magnificent difference: the immersive awareness of God's presence. In today's world, we can misbehave. We can get confused. But that's only because God is hidden. Even though He's everywhere, in everything, we don't fully sense His presence. It's been that way since day one. But as soon as we become hyper-aware of God's light, the right path in life will become obvious, and the wrong path won't attract us so much. We'll only see the godly side of things with complete spiritual intuition. When the nations are able to intuit that we're all created in the image of God, the differences that separate us today will become as irrelevant as the missiles we use to enforce those differences. And Mashiach, he doesn't even need to perform any miracles. His most important job is to be the world's greatest Torah teacher, who makes all of humanity just get it, spreading divine clarity across the earth like water covers the sea, and giving us the spiritual equipment to dive beneath the surface. The Hebrew words for exile and redemption are almost identical. If you look carefully, you'll notice that the only difference is this single letter, Aleph, representing God's unity and omnipresence. All it takes is that tiny change, a single spark of divine mindfulness, to effect a complete transformation from exile to redemption. While Jews have hoped and prayed for this day for as long as we can remember, the Rebbe taught that it's time to be proactive. We can hasten the Geula. We can even demand it. And most importantly, we can live it even before it happens. Every time you do a mitzvah, making yourself mindful of God's light and oneness, you are infusing yourself with a Geula mindset. Every word of Torah you study is a taste of Mashiach's times, when we'll engage with divine wisdom all day. When you teach your fellow humans about God, you are paving the way for Mashiach. The world, with all its problems, is closer to Mashiach than it has ever been. Many implements of war have already morphed into tools of good. In fact, the very same internet that enables you to watch this video was originally created for war. But today, it's a remarkable tool for sharing God's wisdom across oceans. In the Rebbe's words, Mashiach is ready to come now. It's up to us to do one more act of goodness and kindness to make it happen.
Okay, and that takes us to bringing heaven down to earth. All right. Yeah, you ready? Okay. And there came a day, and Joseph went to do his work. The Targum tells us that Joseph went to review his accounting books. The Torah's HaYom says Yosef the Tzaddik went to view his accounting books. Yosef was a soul from the world of Atzilus, a divine world of pure light, entirely beyond any physical or spiritual reality. A world, one with its emanator. For Yosef, even as he lived within a body, within this world, there was no world, because the light of his soul shone so brightly, nothing of this world could exist. And yet, here we find Yosef going to do his work, to review his accounting books. It's one thing to be beyond the world, but to be so far beyond and yet occupied with it both at once, that is something truly wondrous. And Yosef was a special soul, as we all know. If you want to talk about that more, all right, come to me on social media, any of the Actors Rabbis groups. Are you ready? Blue Sky, Clubhouse, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube, theactorsrabbi.com. There you can sign up on our mailing list and for life coaching services should you need them. And now we're going to make an after bracha from breakfast.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei nefashos rabos v'chesronan al kol ma shebarasa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chei haolamim.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors, Pespo Riddle, Tarzane Orchids, Dina D Design, Bracha Biederman, Avi G, Jezim Musavi, Ruth D, Jennifer, and our anonymous donor. You people help keep us afloat. We could use more. If you'd like to become a donor, please use this handy QR code right over here. Help us pay for our expenses by going to breakfastwithelli.live/newcomputer, breakfastwithelli.live/newcomputer, or patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, patreon.com/theactorsrabbi. All right? All right. Thank you. And all that money goes to pay our expenses. We're not looking to make a profit over here. I don't need to do this as a living, but please help us. Okay, we've spent a lot of money, And I don't know how long I can keep this up if I don't get a little bit of help in paying these expenses. All right, it's pretty expensive. It's kind of crazy. I don't know why it's so expensive to do things these days, but there it is. All right. Benny Fried has a beautiful brand new album out of Hanukkah songs. Now we're going to play one of them for you. There's no video associated with it, but it's still incredible. Okay, so I hope that you enjoy it. Okay, all right. 15th day of the month of Kislev. We are officially 10 days away from Hanukkah. I know. It's exciting. I put up my menorah, well, one of them anyway, and I'll put up the other menorahs soon, decorating a little bit for Hanukkah because I love Hanukkah so much. So, have a great and glorious day. In the words of Rabbi Isaac Hamler, have affection for a fellow. Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow. Hashem will do a kindness for you. Draw a fellow close. Hashem will draw you close to him. Make it a great and glorious day. Be the reason someone smiles, and I will see you, God willing, tomorrow. Enjoy this.
Bring them home, bring them home. We've been praying for so long, so Abba, please bring them home. Bring them home, please bring them home. We've been praying for so long, so Abba, please bring them home. We're coming home, we're almost home.